Hey, shalom and peace, everybody. This is Jah'shua. I want to make a video regarding if the Bible is still relevant today in 2016. I'm going to make this pretty long but pretty thorough, so hopefully y'all can stay with me and understand this. There's a lot of knowledge increasing in these last days, and it's supposed to be like that, but a lot of people is a great falling away. A lot of people are falling away from the truth. A lot of people are falling away from the scriptures, and they're chasing their own consciousness, their own moral compass, their own way of doing things. So based on the false interpretation of the word, because there's many false interpretations, just like the Messiah said, many shall come in my name saying I am Christ, and shall deceive many, and many false prophets shall arise. So that's where you get all these different religions from, all these different denominations in Christianity, starting from the Catholic Church. So I'm just going to break down why the Bible is relevant today in 2016, what is the Bible, and why do we need it, and just the beautifulness, if that's the word, I just made it up, of the scriptures. So I'm going to start with this Bible. This is the best, in my opinion. This is the best one to get. It's the 1611 King James Version. Now, King James was not a homosexual. That's for one. And what he did was the Catholic Church had this book written in Latin in the from like the 1200s to maybe like the 1500s. And only the Catholic Church was able to read it and keep it because they knew Latin. So King James got about, I think it was 46 scholars that were skilled in the Greek, that were skilled in the Hebrew, the Greek, as well as the Latin. And he diligently translated it from started back from the Hebrew, then to the Greek, then to the Latin, into English, so the people can have it, the common people, just the regular people, so they can have the Bibles in their hand, in their homes, so they can read it and understand what the word says. So that's how we get the King James Bible. Now, the reason why I suggest 1611 is because they had the 14 books that they took out of the Bible in the 1800s, the Protestant movement, where they protested against the Catholic Church, where we got Christianity and all these different denominations. They protested against the Catholic Church, and 14 of these books they called it false. The reason why they called it false is because it was written during the time that our ancestors, the Negroes, were enslaved in Babylon, and also dealing with not really the Greek, but we were enslaved in Babylon. And these are letters during that time and books during that time that our ancestors wrote, and they couldn't understand that. So therefore, they said it's not inspired by God, and they took it upon them own selves to take these books out. They called these books apocrypha, which in Greek means hidden away or secret, and then they put an L at the end of apocrypha and called it apocryphal, and now they're saying apocryphal means false writings. So they took these books, 14 books, out in the 1800s. So without these books, the New Testament will kind of be hard to understand, because you don't know about the Greek captivity, dealing with the Maccabees, and why the Israelites were going around teaching Greeks. Most of the time they were teaching Jews that were in other nations. Sometimes they were teaching the heathens, which were Gentiles, but most of the time you'll see it was really them going to different nations, because a lot of our ancestors spoke Greek. So the Bible was originally written in Hebrew, and then when our ancestors got enslaved by the Greeks, we started speaking Greek like it is today. We got enslaved by the Caucasians, we got brought to America, we only speak English, so therefore we have the Bible in English. Now back then we were speaking Greek, so the Bible was translated into the Greek tongue so we can understand it. And that's literally what it is, man. That just shows you the power of the Creator. He will always have his people to understand and have the word, so there's no excuse. Now, the reason why we're falling away from the scriptures now is because of the knowledge and because of the conscious community. We're seeing that Christianity is false in itself, and we're seeing that a lot of the Christianity, its traditions are from different faiths, pagan faiths, heathen faiths, false faiths, false religions, just stacked on traditions. Easter, putting a tree in your home, December 25th, the day of the sun, even Sunday worship, the day of the sun god, sun. So a lot of us are getting away from that falsified religion, and we're throwing the book out as well, not knowing that the book actually condemns those things. The Christianity as we know it is not of the scriptures. It is literally a false worship. So I'm just going to tell the truth, just be honest with you. The word Bible is not in the Bible. Let's get that straight. The word Bible comes from the Latin word biblios, which means book, and that's all it means. It's just the book, the Bible. When we was in school, we did bibliographies, and biblio, which means book, and ography, I believe, means writing. So we did book writings. That's all it means. The Bible is the Hebrew scriptures dealing with the Creator and the Creator's covenant with the Hebrews and how he deals with man, his laws, and how he dealt with his people. And there's other nations mentioned in here because the Hebrews were always enslaved to different nations. So when you see about the different nations, the different empires, it's only written because that's the kingdoms that we were in. Now it mentions about the law is the first 5 books of Moses. It's dealing with the Creator's laws and how should we deal with one another and how we please him. The prophets from Jah'shua to Malachi deals with the prophets, and the kings, and also the coming of the Messiah. The prophets prophesied about the coming of the Messiah, Jah'shua, who the world calls Jesus the Christ. And the Gospels, the first 4 books of the New Testament, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, it deals with the Messiah when he walked the earth and what he did, and the blood of the testimony. And the book of Acts deals with what the apostles did right after Christ resurrected. And then the rest of the book, or the letters that Paul, Shaul, he wrote to the churches. He already established the churches. He established the commandments. He established the order. And he was writing letters back and forth to the congregations when they had questions to him when he was out traveling. So the whole thing is literally about the Hebrews. It's about man's origin, but throughout the scriptures, it's all about the children of Israel and the Most High's plan to redeem his people, and also those that accept the truth that could be grafted in. You got to understand that he made a covenant. The Most High made a covenant with his people, like a marriage, a husband and his wife. And when it comes down to the other people, all the Gentiles, they are like the bridesmaids. They are part of the wedding, but they aren't in the intimacy of it. That's the best way I could describe it. So that's why you don't hear too much about the other nations, and that's why a lot of Hebrew Israelites today, they think that the Gentiles don't matter. But in a sense, the ones that accept the truth, they are like the bridesmaids to the wedding. They're not directly involved, but those that accept this truth, they are part of the wedding. So that's where it comes down to. Now you have a lot of different Bibles, and that's the problem. Man always wants to reinvent things. Man always wants to add his interpretation, his own kind of spin on it. And that's where you get these different Bibles, like the New King James, the Amplified Version, the New International Version, the New World Translation. Just ridiculous. The ridiculous. It's because we chose not to study to show thyself approved. We don't want to study anymore, and we don't like the way something sounds. So we take certain words out, so it will fit our our religion, will fit what we want it to fit, and we can confuse the people. You gotta really understand that Hashatan, the devil, he is real, and he's looking to deceive in by any means. He will use anybody and anything. So not all your brothers and sisters are righteous, and not all of the other nations are your enemies. There's going to be some Gentiles. I'm specifically talking about Caucasians, because that's the main issue, that will accept this truth and walk in light, and they'll be your brother in the faith. And there will be some Israelites that just don't want to hear nothing, and they'll just be wicked as hell. They'll be like evil figs that you can't even eat. The fruit is just so wicked. So don't be deceived by the flesh. Like the Messiah says, don't judge according to appearance, judge righteous judgment. So we have the Bible. So what we have today, we have the Bible, we have Christianity, we have Islam, and we have Jewish people. We also have Buddhists, whatever. I'm not going to get into the Buddhists and the Hindus and the fake spiritual people, but don't even want to get into the word. So the Jews were born into a world where there are a people that are called Jews or Jewish people, and we take them to be the Jews that rejected Christ during the time that he walked the earth. And now faith is open to everybody, and we are the everybody, so that's what's up. Now, these people that call themselves Jews today, the Jewish people. Now, first of all, that word Jewish, what does that word mean? The ish is the heck was that? The ish, like they have a TV show today called Blackish. It's dealing with people that are black, but don't really act black or don't really seem black the way they're living. Now, Jewish means kinda or like. You know what I'm saying? These people, these are what you will call Khazars or Khazarians. They took that the Khazar Empire is no longer on the map anymore. It's not even in the dictionary I have. I have a dictionary called the American Heritage Dictionary of the English Language. That place is no longer in the dictionary. They were a people, a heathenistic, barbarous people, half Mongoloid, half Caucasoid people, and they were without a history, they were without a heritage, without a culture. During the 6th to the 8th century, when Islam was rising up and Christianity was rising up as well, and things like that, they decided to convert to a religion so they wouldn't get persecuted by the Islamic people or the Christians. So they went to the origin of both, which they considered at that time Judaism. So they converted to the faith of the Jews. And over a period of time, they convinced themselves, and by the hand of Satan and by the hand of the Gentiles, specifically the Europeans, they elevated these people up and they put the real Jews down while the Jews were in slavery and captivity and living low. And they convinced themselves that they were the people of the book when they were just originally just converts, and they converted to the false traditions that a lot of our ancestors learned when we were in the Babylonian captivity. So Judaism comes from the fact that the Bible was at that time only the kingdom of Judah, the southern kingdom, was in the land at that time. Once they came back from Babylon, they went back to the land, and only the southern kingdom was in the land. At that time, the northern kingdom, the 10 tribes, they were divorced by God. God saw how wicked they were, and he gave them basically like a bill of divorcement and sent them forever from his presence, out of his presence, until he establishes the new covenant. So the Jews felt like they were it. Our ancestors felt like that was it, and then we made this thing called Judaism like a religion, and we brought certain traditions that we picked up from Babylon back to the land. And so that's why when you read the New Testament, you see that the Messiah, Christ, is just going on the Pharisees all the time, the scribes, the leaders, the religious leaders, because they were teaching certain traditions that was false. Now, if you look at today, like me personally, I have no patience. I have no sympathy for these religious leaders and people that's heavy and deep into the religion that think they know what they're talking about. I crush them every time. As far as our people that are lost and searching for truth or just don't know any better, it's nothing but love. Some people may say I'm even soft or I'm even weak, but the point is a lot of our people are lost and we're looking for the truth, and we feel like this book, it was forced on our ancestors. It was forced, and our grandmother's still in church. She's also praise the Lord, Jesus, blah, blah, blah. But they're pretty much hypocritical, and they're not really putting this money that they get from the people to good usage in our communities. So a lot of us just reject Christianity, and then we reject the word, not knowing that the word is not Christianity. Another thing, that word Christianity is nowhere in the scriptures. Period. Christian is mentioned 3 times, and that's it. It means to be Christ-like, and a lot of us are not Christ-like. We just assume the religion our grandparents had, and we're not reading the word at all. It's pretty hypocritical, but I don't knock y'all because we didn't know. Same thing with me. I just consider myself a Christian. I didn't care about the word when I was younger. So that's what it is. These people that's call themselves Jewish today, that's in the land, that got persecuted with Hitler and all that stuff. That's another lesson too. But they aren't the biblical Jews. The biblical Jews, the Southern Kingdom, are the ones that got shipped in the transatlantic slave trade in the 1600s and came to the Western Hemisphere. That's why your heritage, your history, your language was all stripped from you, and you're called today Jamaicans, Haitians, Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, African Americans. You know what I'm saying? That's who we're called today. Negroes, nigga, black. We are actually the Southern Kingdom of Judah. Our ancestors are the ones that rejected Christ, and that's why we got put in this predicament that we're in right now. Now, as far as the Northern Kingdom goes, because he says he's going to establish a new covenant with his people, with the house of Judah and the house of Israel. The Northern Kingdom, the 10 tribes of Israel. Check this out. This is a book. It's called Lost Tribes and Promised Lands: The Origins of American Racism by Ronald Sanders. This book explains the testimony of Christopher Columbus. When he came over here, he wasn't looking for India. You know, that's not true at all. If you read this, the Bible, there's a book. It's called Second Esdras, and I believe it's Second Esdras chapter 13, where it speaks about Christ returning, and it says that he's going to take his people, and then he's going to take another fold, which were the 10 tribes, and they left the Assyrians. They left the multitude of the heathen, and they went to a place where never mankind dwelt. Now, that is how the so-called Native Americans came to this side of the world. They went to a place where never mankind dwelt, and they stayed there, established there. They tried to keep the commandments of God, but they still kind of went off. And so it's written in Second Esdras chapter 13, I believe, and that was written in like I would say like the 8th century BC. So Columbus saw that, and he wanted to see if the 10 tribes were really over here. So when he came over here on ships, you know, the conquistadors, the Spaniards, the Portuguese, whatever, he came over here and he saw these people, and he didn't call them Indians as far as I thought it was an Indian. He called these people Indios, which means in God. These were people living in God, and they were a holy and righteous and peaceful people. So he used that against them, and he enslaved them, he tricked them, and a lot of the Native Americans, he forced Catholicism on them, which is Catholic, and he forced them to learn the language of them, which was Spanish, and he also pushed a lot of them further Central and South America. And that's where you get the so-called Latinos and the Hispanics today. They are the descendants of the 10 tribes of Israel. Some of them are Spaniards, you know what I'm saying? All of them aren't the 10 tribes of Israel, but a lot of them are. A lot of them have no idea of their history or their heritage. That Spanish name that they have, whether it's Hernandez, whether it's Gonzalez or whatnot, that's the last name of their conquerors, you know, their slave masters. Just like our last name, the Negroes, we still have the last name of our slave owners, our grandparents, great grandparents. And that's another thing too, man. Just like our great forefathers here in America, our forefathers in America, our ancestors, like Malcolm X, he changed his last name to X because he was like, it's unknown what my name was before you guys took it. Same thing with Muhammad Ali when he changed it from Cassius Clay. So we're still dealing with the same problems, you know, and it's deep because we are the children of Israel. That's who we are. That's our identity. So when Christ returns, he's going to establish the covenant with the house of Israel and the house of Judah, the 10 tribes of Israel, which were the Indians and their descendants, and the Negroes, the Southern Kingdom, the real Jews and their descendants. So this isn't a game. This isn't a religion. This is just the truth. And either you're with it and you'll forsake this world and come together back in love and peace to your people, Or you'll try to live in the world and try to get along with the people that don't even like you, and you'll fight and claw your way for a dying society. And when Christ comes back, he's not going to pity you because you rejected the truth. This is all for you. The kingdom is all for us. It's just a matter of fact if we're going to accept it and repent from our own ways. So is the Bible relevant? Of course it's relevant. Is religion relevant? Not what you think it is. Religion comes from the Latin word religios, which means to bind. Now there is a saying with that religios or religios, if I'm saying it wrong, please forgive me. It means the bond between man and the gods. Now all these different faiths or religions, they had gods. Like the Greeks, the Romans, the Egyptians, they all had a pantheon of gods. So that's why the term religion, it means a bond between man and the gods. The first commandment that the Most High God gave to Moses to give to the children of Israel is, thou shalt have no other gods before me. That is the very first commandment. That's basically saying you shall have no religions before me. There's nothing else. All the gods of the nations are idols. He made a covenant with our ancestors and our ancestors alone. He said, I'm going to be your God. You're going to be my people. I'm going to treat you, like a son does his father. I'm going to treat you like a father does his son, And when you disobey my rules in my house, I'm going to punish you, until you learn your lesson. So that's what it's about. Our job is to literally be we're supposed to be a nation of priests and kings, and we're supposed to teach the other sons of Adam the truth. And while we're suffering in our captivity, even to this very day, we're supposed to humble ourselves and accept the truth, repent of our ancestors' iniquities, repent of our iniquities, forgive our enemies, and walk in the covenant and speak this truth to the world. This world is going down. He's going to destroy with fire. He's going to establish a new heaven, a new earth. He's going to stop when Christ returns. He's going to rule these other nations with a rod of iron. He's not going to show no mercy, no pity to these people, because a lot of them knew who we were, and a lot of them don't even care about us, and they're just using us in our communities. So it's not about us getting money. It's not about us being rich. It's not about us getting land and doing our thing. It's about us literally humbling ourselves and coming back to the covenant that our Father made with our King, and accepting the penalties of the curses and walking in faith by the blood of the Messiah and walking in love in his faith. That's literally what it's all about. Now, what they did was they changed the image of Jesus into that false image that you see all around the world. They, the Caucasian Empire, the people, they are the Edomites that the Bible speaks of. So if you look at Genesis 25 verse 25, now when you think of the devil, you think of somebody red and hairy, pitchfork, horns, blah blah blah. In Genesis 25 verse 25, it describes Rebecca, which was Isaac's wife, she basically had children, and the children were struggling in her womb, and she asked the Lord, she was like, if this is a blessing, why are the children in my womb fighting? And the Lord told her, he said, 2 nations are in your womb. Nations represents races or nationality. So 2 nations are in your womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from your bowels. So even though they're twins, he says 2 manner of people shall be separated from your bowels. So one people will have one type of mannerism, the other one will have another type. And he said the elder shall serve the younger, and one people shall be stronger than the other people. And the first came out red all over like a hairy garment, and she called his name Esau. And the second came out holding Esau's heel, and his name was Jacob. Now, in the book of 2nd Esdras, Esdras was a prophet. He's in the regular Bible, the normal Bible you have. His name's Ezra, and I believe he is Nehemiah. If he's not Nehemiah, I apologize, but I think that's him, another name for that. And the book they took out the Bible is 2nd Esdras chapter 6. Esdras is speaking to an angel. This is during the time that we were enslaved in Babylon, and he's like, man, what's going to be the end times? How are you going to come back? How are you going to come and free us? When will we know? And so the Most High told him, like, he said, I thought of everything before it happened. And I decided that everything's going to be ended through me. I started everything. It's going to end through me. The Father created all things by his word. He's going to end all things through his word. And also remember, the word was manifested in the flesh. So he also said the time of splitting ups was between Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He made Jacob to be the righteous kingdom, and that's why Christ came from the seed of Jacob, the seed of Abraham, David, and from the tribe of Judah. So he said Jacob grabbing Esau's heel was prophetic, meaning like he's fighting, he's going to pull down the empire, he's going to pull down Esau to get the birthright. He says in 2 Ezra chapter 6 verse 9, says Esau is the end of the world and Jacob is the beginning of it that follows. So Esau is going to be ruling the earth during the last times, and once their empire falls, that's when Jacob represents the 12 tribes of Israel and represents the messianic reign or the kingdom of Christ. That's when it's going to be established. So when you read the book of Revelations, literally the book of Revelations means to reveal, or in the Catholic book it's called Apocalypse. Apocalypse literally means to unveil or reveal or uncover the veil. That means to reveal something. I probably said that word like 3 times, but that's what it means. Now we think today apocalypse means like end of the world, disaster, chaos, fire. The reason why we think like that is because it's the end of their rulership. It's the end of the fleshly nature of man. It's the end of the wicked reign of the Gentiles, and it's the end of Satan controlling the world. So that's what that's talking about, and that's why we think apocalypse represents death and destruction and the end of the world. It's the end of their world. Esau, the Edomites, which are the Caucasians, and the Jewish people. Don't be deceived. So knowing that, I'm not saying all white people are evil or wicked, but it does say the wicked are estranged from the womb. So just know that there are enemies. Know that they don't like us. They never loved us. That's why they do what they do. And Christ said love your enemies, so that means just do what you got to do, and that doesn't mean Edomites won't be saved. It also says that a remnant will be saved in the kingdom, and they'll serve the Most High Yah. There'll be service in the kingdom, as well as other nations will be service in the kingdom. But the children of the kingdom, which are the 12 tribes of Israel, this is all for you. The so-called Negroes, the ones that are over here, also our people are still over in Africa and all through the 4 corners of the earth. There's black people everywhere. So don't think that our people aren't in Africa. Don't think that the northern kingdom, which are the Indians and their descendants, are the Latinos. Don't think that they're not our people. We are one people. We are one nation. We are 2 kingdoms, but we're split up. And when Christ comes back, he's going to gather both houses because of the promise that God made to Abraham. And he's going to bring us back to the land. Well, first he's going to bring us to the wilderness, but we're going to, the righteous will end up in the land. And that's when we're going to rule with Christ for 1,000 years. So, this thing is pretty deep, man. This isn't a game. This isn't a religion. This is literally the truth of the matter. And this is the only thing that's going to save man, is coming into the knowledge of the truth. Realizing that the people that you look down upon the most, the niggas and the spicks, that we are God's chosen people, and that you will be judged based on how you treat us, and we will be judged based on how we treat each other and how we accept this truth and this message. Why would you want any part of the world when the world doesn't want you? Let this world go. It's flesh. It's weak. And come to the truth. Come to the love of God. I know this may sound crazy and it may sound kind of hateful, but the truth is the truth. This is the good news. The good news is to the Jew first and then to the Greek. So the Israelites need to hear this truth first, and they will be saved first. That's what the 1,000-year reign is all about. And then the Gentiles will be saved afterwards. So we're all part of the body of Christ right now. We're all supposed to be lifting each other up, and the Gentiles will receive mercy how they treat us. But look at how they're treating us. So how can they obtain mercy? It's impossible. So we have to bring, if we want this world to be saved, because he didn't come to condemn the world but to save it. So if we want to live in this world, we have to tell the truth about this world. We got to let these Gentiles know that we are the children of Israel, and you are oppressing us, and as long as you curse us, you're going to be cursed, but if you bless us, you will be blessed. We have to hold these churches accountable. We have to stop being in these false religions, and we just got to show love to each other. That's the simple message. That's really what it is. It's love. But it's not loving the structure of the way things are set up under this beast, under the Caucasian Empire, because they know not love. So it's not just getting along and saying, Jesus, Jesus. No, it's about reading the word. It's about humbling ourselves. It's about repenting. It's about being baptized, by the Ruach, which is the Spirit, and being immersed in water. You got to let that old man go. And you got to rise up a new man and walk in newness of life. So that's literally what it is. Is the Bible still relevant to this day? It's the only thing that's relevant to this day. Everything else is vanity. And I'm glad y'all was able to read this, listen to this. So that's where we're at. Everything is beautiful in the Bible. We're not under the Levitical priesthood anymore. That's why there's no more sacrifices. There's no more animal sacrifices. We're not under the priestly rule of the Levites. We're under the Melchizedek priesthood, which is Christ being our high priest, and he is that lamb that sacrificed for us. So we honor him, and we walk as he walked, and we show love one to another, and we show true love. So that's why I can't be in the Christian churches, because they're not telling the truth of the matter, and they're really just dumbing me down in my mind, and they're weakening my spirit, and it really hurts me. So that's why I tell people, just read the word for yourself, show love to your people, and show love to these Gentiles by telling them the truth and letting them know it's not about education. It's just about the spirit of wisdom, and it's about the true Christ, not that false Christ that the world worships. We got to kill that too. And that's about it. So hopefully y'all hung with me for 32 minutes. I love y'all. Don't be strangers. Let me know how you love this video, if you like it or not, and be at peace. Shalom to you. In the name of Jah'shua, the Messiah, and let's walk in love.